Hello, and welcome to the Nintendo Bros podcast. This is Pete,
And this is Derek.
and we are here to talk about Nintendo video games, all things great and heavenly. Right, Derek?
Video games are indeed heavenly, especially Nintendo.
Yes, and today we're here to talk about the new Nintendo Direct. Happened on February 8th, 2023, in case you're listening in the future. And yeah, wow. I mean, Derek, we didn't really get a chance to talk about it. I watched it live. I watched on my big screen TV, got all ready, turned the blinds down, everything. But you didn't get to watch it live, so tell me when you got to watch it.
So yeah, I had a commitment at work, so I didn't get home till about 6-ish. And then I had another commitment at 7. So I was trying to eat dinner, and I was watching it on my phone without sound. So I was like trying to eat dinner and not be annoying, and I just kind of clicked through it. So I know all the highlights, and then that evening I came back and watched it in full with sound and on my computer screen. So I have a better detail at that point. But yeah, my first viewing of it was kind of more just like to get the news, and then the real viewing was later on.
Cool. I mean, I gotta say, I've had to miss a few directs in my time just from work and stuff too. Watched it on my phone with no sound. I've done the same thing, but this one I was really happy to watch in live because some of the things they announced and the way they announced them, like it was just kind of like just little things. We'll get into it, but shadow drops and things like that were really exciting to be in the moment. So I'm sorry you missed it. You should have told your job that you were sick with COVID. So I mean, overall, I think it's probably one of the best directs we've had since E3 2019 Nintendo Direct, where they showed Banjo, they announced Breath of the Wild 2, etc., Luigi's Mansion. What do you think? How do you feel?
Yeah, I liked it a lot. So don't get me wrong. And the things they showed, there's probably quite a few heavy hitters that I really, really liked. There were some things that were missing. Let's say there was no real huge bomb in my mind. But again, that's fine because I think the stuff that we even had ideas that were going to come were still really awesome. I didn't love. I know we're going to get into it. I didn't love the Zelda trailer. So it was kind of a...
We can talk about that specifically.
Yeah. So, anyways, overall, I liked it a lot. I think it's probably the best one in a long while. But it wasn't like I was face melting about it.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like I was face melting. I was like really excited, and I almost didn't have anyone to share it with for multiple things that I shouted out. I actually shouted out loud. Yeah, I think it was great, and I think the thing to keep in mind, there's 2 points to keep in mind, is whether or not we break down each individual game trailer and our levels. I know you're more critical than I am. It's still safe to say, like within the first half of the year, they've got Fire Emblem, Kirby, Octopath 2. They've got Advance Wars 1 and 2. They've got a new Zelda. They've got a brand new Pikmin coming out. Like the actual first half of the year is totally stacked, almost unlike they've ever had. This first half of the year, I mean, if we're including Pikmin in the first half, I know it's in July, but it's a stacked first half of the year for them, and this late in the console cycle, I think it's safe to say that no one came away from this direct with nothing that appeals to them. So it's one of those things where I was listening to another opinion about this where there's always going to be quote unquote filler in a direct for different audiences because like farming audiences loved the last direct farming game, but this time there wasn't as many farming games. There still were some, but you know what I mean? Like there's always you can't please everyone, and for me there was points during this direct where I was like, oh man, it's full of stuff I don't care about. This is going to go downhill quick. But it still hit those highlights of the things that I love, and I felt like they had such a well-rounded lineup. But anyways, we'll get into it. Let's go through the actual everything in it, because this is a meaty direct to get through. 40 minutes, and I think it went a little longer than 40. I think it went about 43 minutes. So they opened up with Pikmin 4. Coming July 21st. That's the big takeaway here. But what did you think, Derek?
Yeah, this is probably my highlight of the show. I really love Pikmin 1, 2, and 3 is actually probably my least favorite of all the ones out so far, but I still like Pikmin 3 a lot. I actually think this is going to be right up my alley because Pikmin 2 is my favorite, and this one looks like it brings some of those things back, like
Caves.
like caves, some of these cool bosses. I don't know if this is true. I'm just speculating that this game doesn't necessarily have the same time limit and time pressure as 1 and 3 do, because in number 1 you're collecting money for a loan, I guess, right? Is that what's
Number 2? You're planning to pay off a loan, yeah. So you have unlimited days.
Yeah, but number 1 and number 3 are limited. So that's why I'm hoping this one is you can kind of play at your own pace. Because I really like being able to keep playing and not have the game ever end on me. If that makes sense.
Yep, I know what you mean, and it's funny. I number 2 is probably my least favorite because I thought that the random design of the caves wasn't great. Didn't feel like catered, you know what I mean, or designed very well. But I do appreciate how this one brings in those elements and the caves, brings the caves back. And I think I agree. It seems to. I mean, we don't really know anything about the time mechanic in this one. It's probably going to be in there and somehow indifferent, but it does seem to imply that it's a bigger, longer, go at your own pace game. I don't know why. I agree with you there.
Yeah, and so, some of the things that I liked are. I really like the ice Pikmin. I thought it was cool. The dog that they added seems interesting. It looks like there's some kind of night element to this one. Like we all know that most of the creatures in the game are nocturnal, but it looks like you can definitely do something at nighttime. So
well, at the end of the trailer, after they even said the release date, they showed that little bit where it was nighttime and the Bulborb's eyes turn red.
Exactly. So all I'm saying is that probably means that we're gonna have some gameplay element to do with the nighttime, which is awesome.
But I don't wonder if that ending bit could have to do with the story and have nothing to do with playing at night. It could also have to do with some sort of side mode where you get to play a Bulborb at night, or it could be a lot of things.
It could even just be like how sometimes in 1, 2, and 3 when your ships leave, they had the cutscene of like the Bulborbs waking up and chomping around as you lift off. It could be like one of those kind of it could just be a cutscene that they edited to make it more interesting.
Yeah, or it's like maybe there's a new boss enemy that's controlling the Bulbarbs and making their eyes turn red. I think that's the hint of the story, and that you know what I mean. It turns red this time at nighttime. I would love some nighttime gameplay though. I think that'd be really cool. I also my takeaway was that I for one I really like the new camera perspective being lower to the ground. It makes it feel more epic, and seeing like the home in the backyard in the distance is really cool. I also thought the graphics looked quite a bit better than number 3.
Do you think this game will end up being one big backyard? Like that's what I was kind of like. So it's hard to tell. Were we just seeing one level that's a part of a backyard, or is the whole?
I was going to ask you the same thing. No, I think there's going to be landing points. But is the whole world connected? Right? Because if you watch the trailer, there's another time where you land in the cave level, like you see where your onion ship is. And then there's another point at the end of one of the trailers where you see a bigger spaceship that's landed with other like I don't know what the species is called, whatever all of our species is. You see different non-playable characters. So there's clearly more going on here. I actually think that there's a chance that it could be one big open world, but you can fly to different landing points. So like you know what I mean, and you like reach, and it looks like in this one too, when you leave your base, like you're going further. It's not so much about like building more guys really quickly and smartly around your base. It seems like, hey, here's our base. Can we get all the way there in this day, or this many Pikmin, or what we have? And you might, you know what I mean, and you might reach a point where it's like, hey, we've reached this point. Now we can land here tomorrow. Let's put this on our map. I think it could be something like that. But yeah, the one thing, the other big takeaway for me during this trailer was that they're not like reinventing the entire wheel of Pikmin, which I kind of was a sigh of relief because you never know with Miyamoto.
Me too. I totally agree with that.
And it just feels like it's a solid sequel that's doing enough to feel like it's not just another one of the first trilogy. It feels like a new number 4, but it also feels like it keeps a lot of the things I love about it.
Totally. Like I feel like it's I don't want to bring up Splatoon, but I feel like it's reinvented itself more than Splatoon has, but it hasn't gone so far as to be like Star Fox Zero.
Like
Star Fox Zero, like it just
Star Fox Zero doesn't belong in the conversation.
Yeah.
But no, I know what you mean. With Miyamoto, you're never sure, and he's like, oh, it's a low camera to the ground camera perspective, and all of a sudden it's on rails, and all you're doing is like getting Pikmin on your phone app and transferring them over, or something really, really asinine. So I'm just glad to see it's a gamey game, you know.
Do you think you'll have the multiple character controls like in 2 and 3?
I was literally going to ask you that. So I was thinking about that today. I almost think it's not going to have that, and it'll be single player only.
Me too.
Something about I feel like the trailer would have shown us multiplayer, but there were 2 points in the trailer. One where there's 2 other non-playable characters or playable characters, and where you find your ally. So I do think there will be switching from the main character at some point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like to me, like I don't know if I'm misremembering. Was there not a part of the gameplay where you're controlling the dog?
Well, you hop on top of the dog.
Because I just like was
and you ride it.
For some reason I thought there was a part where like you're standing beside the dog, but you're actually controlling how the dog moves and grabs like a bulb orb or something.
No, I think that's just you selecting the dog Pikmin. I think his name is Uchi, and you just like throwing it at that bulb orb like a Pikmin. It's just gonna carry it like a purple heavy one would.
Okay.
But it is cool, or it'll drag it. But I think when you're riding it, you have full control, and maybe there'll be some sort of like C-stick implementation, like the original, where you have like you can control your whole swarm of Pikmin with the analog stick. I don't know if it'll have that.
Yeah. Anyways, that was the one reason that I thought maybe that it wouldn't have multiple characters, is because if you're dealing with the dog at the same time, and it's more significant. Like I'm just curious, like can the dog be killed? Does the dog have a life? You know, like what happens?
I was wondering about that too. Yeah, I don't know. And the dog seems to be a little bit separate than your main character. It seems like managing your main alien character, your main character, and the dog and the Pikmin might get a little cumbersome if you have like 2 other guys to manage as well, right?
Exactly. But on the counterpoint, it would be really cool if you could send the dog and you could tell it, or like let's say you switch characters, you could have a whistle and the dog would come to that other character. There's a lot of cool like micromanaging.
Yeah, I do think eventually in the main single player campaign you will be able to control at least one other person, because we've already had it and they've kind of figured it out. So I think they will include that, and seeing the other NPCs in the cutscenes. The one thing I was actually thinking about this is, with reference to multiplayer or split screen multiplayer, I had a really good idea of how they could find the best compromise, because multiplayer has now been in Pikmin 2 and Pikmin 3, and they included a full co-op campaign in Pikmin 3 Deluxe, which is I really want to run that with you one day. I think that'd be fun. But
I'd love to.
I get the impression with the graphical upgrade and the new perspective that this Pikmin 4 is not going to be able to run well in split screen, so it's like essentially made tailored for a single player. But I had a cool compromise that maybe they'll find, where I remember in Pikmin 3 originally the single player was only single player, but you had a 2-player side missions, and the side missions were on like less ambitious levels. Do you know what I mean? They were in smaller scale levels. So I thought it would be cool is if maybe when you go back to the ship at the end of every day, you can choose to do a 2-player side mode the same way, and maybe they'll incorporate it into the main story where it's like, hey, these separate tasks are on smaller areas, and you have to play them with 2 players. And I thought that'd be really cool, where if they design them around you and I being forced into that like co-op to win situation, like I can't just play it by myself. I need you there to beat it. So I thought that'd be a cool compromise, and maybe they'll do that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But I think there's a good chance multiplayer will be in there somehow, because it'd be odd not to.
I think for sure it's going to be in it. People love it.
Yeah, and it is one of those things where Nintendo, the next time we see Pikmin, which could be like in June or April or whatever, like that's when they unveil the big multiplayer mode, or you know what I mean? Like they seem kind of weird like that. They're not just going to show us everything now, because it's also kind of startling. Like last time they showed us it, I almost thought the game was so far away it wasn't going to come out this year.
And that's exactly what I thought. I thought it was just like a concept image, still.
Same. Like they did it over the weekend to have something, and now it looks like fully complete. So it looks like there's almost nothing else to do. It looks like it could be fully complete, and they're just figuring out ways to market it.
Do you think there might be another Pikmin type?
No, I actually don't. I think that every single we've already, according to the concept art, we know that the every other Pikmin type's coming back. Poison, the heavy, and the pink one. So I think that the ice is it for this one. Ice and the dog.
And the dog. Yeah, okay.
They've never done that before, where they've shown us, like with Pikmin 3, they brought in the poison and the purple one, and they showed it right in the marketing. And same thing with Pikmin 3 and the pink one. So they've never really hidden a Pikmin behind the release like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm super excited. I actually think that my Metacritic score of I think 86 is way too low. I was kind of hoping on an NR for that score, but I think it's gonna be could be a 92 in my opinion. It looks really, really strong.
Oh wow! See, I was thinking the opposite. Where not that I think it's gonna be low, but I think 86 is like right spot on.
I mean, who knows? Who knows what the landscape will be? But it really does look good, and how great is that? It comes 2 months after Zelda. Like just awesome.
I know, like the next 6 months are just such a killer lineup, and it's only getting crazier.
I mean, the fact that Pikmin comes out in the first half of the year has a major question of the second half of the year, but I figured we'd get to that after we get through all these games.
Yeah, I mean, it's not actually coming out in the first half of the year, but yes.
Well, yeah, it's not, but it came in their first half of the year direct. It's slipping in, okay? It's a little slipping in late. Yeah. Okay, after that, or some point after that, they showed off Game Boy coming to Nintendo Switch Online. And this is going to include Tetris, Mario Land 2, Link's Awakening DX, Gargoyle's Quest, Game & Watch Gallery 3, Alone in the Dark, Metroid 2, Wario Land 3, and Kirby's Dream Land. Comes with 3 filters, Game Boy Green, Game Boy Pocket White, and Game Boy Color, which I thought was super cool. I think this is awesome. What do you think, Derek? You get it. You get this on your plan, too.
Yeah, I know that I get this, too. Yeah, I mean, I played a lot of those games already, many times growing up as a kid. Game & Watch Gallery 3 would be pretty fun to play again, just for the nostalgia.
We had that.
I had 2 and 3 on my on Game Boy Color.
But I remember playing it. Because I don't know if I had a Game Boy Color or just you did and I shared with you. I don't remember. But when they showed that, I was like, I kind of went like, ugh, who wants to play that? And then I'm like, wait a second, we had that game, and I remember playing it, and I laughed, and I'm like, that's.
Yeah, you never had a Game Boy Color.
No, I didn't. Okay.
I did, and I played this game a lot. You might have borrowed it, but like I had 2 and 3, and I like played them so much that I had like you could get like I think either stars or something on it. And I had like 5 stars on all the mini games, and I unlocked the secret mini games, and then I got 5 stars on all the secret mini games. Like I played that game a lot.
Cool. You're an OG fan here.
Yeah.
You were probably screaming when you saw that. You're like, yes, finally.
That's just the one game. That's the one game I haven't played in a long time that it's kind of like, oh, that would be cool to kind of pick up. Like Tetris, I have Tetris about 8 different ways right now, and Link's Awakening I already have in the modern version. The other games just don't do that much for me.
Well, you know what? Truthfully, like I've always said, the Nintendo Switch Online games, it's not so much to actually deep dive and play these games. It's more to like pick it off the shelf, have a nostalgia trip, and put it away forever. So.
Yeah.
Even to turn on Tetris once in a while to see how the very first explosion of Tetris was, or to play the very first Kirby, it is neat as a history piece, if that makes sense. And I already fired up Kirby and tried it. And,
the only thing, like for me, for the Game Boy Color, there's not really many games, but the Game Boy Advance, there are a couple of games where like I wouldn't mind playing the whole game. Not just like for nostalgia, but because it's a good game, like Metroid Fusion.
Well, let's talk about Game Boy. We haven't got to Game Boy Advance yet.
Okay.
There's more to talk about Game Boy here.
Okay, go for it.
Because a lot of people are asking, "Where's Pokemon?" And I was gonna ask you about that. Like, do you think if Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow came to the Game Boy NSO, would you play it?
I would not, because one, I played that game to death, and many Pokemons to death. It's very archaic. And they already have remakes of those games. Like I honestly don't think it's actually. I mean, some people will obviously love it, the huge Pokemon fans, but every Pokemon is so similar. I mean, at the core of it, why would I want to play the old version when I could play Fire Red, which is the same game but a better quality of life, or just the newest Pokemons that are just significantly better in every way?
True. Okay. And there's nothing.
I don't know
nothing you'd want on Game Boy, Nintendo Switch Online.
the Game Boy Color ones, there were two games that I really wanted, were Zelda, Oracle of Seasons, and Oracle of Ages,
which are coming.
I know they're coming, so that was another thing I was excited for, because again, I have the Switch Online, so I'll definitely give those again a go again, just for nostalgia's sake. I probably won't play the whole thing, but they're great Zelda games. I remember playing both of them and doing like the transfer codes and stuff.
Cool.
But yeah, that's really it for Game Boy Color that I can think of.
I was hoping that Donkey Kong 94 would come out, because that is the penultimate Donkey Kong game. If you get a chance to play that, I would. It's actually awesome. It's like they kind of merged the original Donkey Kong arcade game into like a modern-y platformer, but it's like a later Game Boy game.
It's like it's Donkey Kong Land, right? Or Donkey Kong Land.
Not Donkey Kong Land. It's Donkey Kong 94. It's called. So it's not Donkey Kong Land was like a Game Boy and Game Boy Pocket version of Donkey Kong Country.
But it had different levels.
It had different levels, but this is a whole different thing. This is Donkey Kong 94. You can look it up. It's like based on the Donkey Kong games.
It's like the old Donkey Kong Mario.
But it's not the super old. It's like they modernized it with a really good gameplay, and it's really cool. Like it's a surprise. One of my favorite games on Game Boy.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I kind of hope that Wave Race comes out just to try it, just to see what the original Wave Race was like, because I never got to play it.
There was an original Wave Race?
Yeah, the original Wave Race was on Game Boy.
What?
Yeah.
That is brand news.
Yeah. So then the sequel is on N64.
I did not know that. That's like a bomb being dropped.
It's not supposed to be that stupendous. I mean, it's like a bird's eye perspective, but now that you can play it like nicely on with nice emulation and stuff, like I'd want to give it a go for history's sake.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then the other thing I think is cool is that we're seeing games like Alone in the Dark and Gargoyle's Quest, and that's something that we saw a little bit of on N64 with like Winback coming at launch, and I hope we see more of that, because I like those kind of weird games that are.
I would love if they brought games like Star Wars Pod Racer back. Like, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I wonder about Star Wars. I also don't think we'll see anything from like any Sonic Game Boy Advance games or Mega Man Game Boy games. Like, we won't see anything from third parties other than the kind of obscure ones that make games like Alone in the Dark and Winback.
Yeah.
But anyways, I was kind of a little...
Mario Golf or Mario Tennis, too. Sorry.
I was a little let down by just Game Boy, but then out of nowhere, they're like, well, not and Game Boy Advance. So that's where I started smiling. I was really happy with that. And Game Boy Advance finally coming, but it's the expansion only. So you won't be able to play them.
Unless I got the expansion.
Unless you get the expansion for like 20
I can always get
bucks. I gotta say, the launch lineup, which includes Minish Cap, Super Mario Advance 4, Super Mario Bros. 3, which I can get into because that's a weird name. WarioWare, the original, Mario Kart Super Circuit, Crew In, which is actually pretty fun. I tried it, and Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. For how many Game Boy Advance games there are, I was kind of hoping for like a bigger dumping than this in the offset,
Yeah.
But Golden Sun's on the way, Metroid Fusion's on the way. There's a lot of really great Game Boy Advance games. What do you think about this, Derek? Is this gonna make you get the expansion?
See, like I'm on the fence. Like, if anything, this is the closest it's ever been. I'd be tempted to get it for a month just to play through Fusion, and like Golden Sun and the sequel are games that are some of my favorite games of all time. Like, they're in my game of all time list. But would I actually want to sit through and play that whole game again? Probably not. Like, I played those games to the point where I had every character at level 99. I had every perfect gear, and my time on the save file was maxed out at 59. Like, I played the hell out of that game. So I don't know if I'd ever play that game again except for nostalgia, but the start is so slow in that game. But Metroid Fusion for sure. So I'm really tempted to get it solely for that one game.
Honestly, the main thing, Zero Mission too.
Yeah, true. That's a great game as well. The biggest thing for me is just time. It's like there's so many modern current games, AAA and indie, that are coming out that I just don't have time to like go back and replay games for nostalgia. Like, so do I want to drop $20 to play through 30 minutes of Metroid and then put it down and then just never play it again? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you get the N64 and all these other things too, but
Yeah, but again, I would play for 30 minutes and never play it again.
you get the Octopath expansion too. But you know what? Here's the thing though. With Game Boy Advance, there truly is a lot of like games that I have not played and would want to play. It's not like the N64 where there's like 12 games, or SNES and NES, which are now kind of old. Like Game Boy Advance, there's a ton of stuff there. There's WarioWare. Twisted is one of the games I would really hope to come out, and if they implement the gyro controls, would be really cool. And Mario Tennis and Mario Golf have really good entries. And remember, this has full online play. And me and my friend have been playing. Like, it was fun. We've been playing Mario Kart 64. We played Mario Tennis 64. And last night, we jumped on together and played Mario Kart Super Circuit for a couple Grand Prix. And I got to say, the implementation is pretty cool because in SNES and N64, it's as if you're at the same console. So it's like we share the screen and I see the split screen. Mm-hmm. But with Game Boy Advance, it's as if I'm over a transfer pack. So it's like I have my own screen. And it just works. Like, it's really smart how it works. And I think it's really cool. And you can do 4 players. So if they really enhance this and we can get like even like a 3 or 4 player like F-Zero match going, it's fun. And it's not one of those things where I'm like, oh my god, I need to sit here and like beat everything here. But as like kind of a nostalgia rush, and just sit and just like to play online with my friend Adrian, to like just literally like play each game for like 5-10 minutes. And to like, hey, let's play a few rounds of Mario Tennis. Yeah. Let's play a few rounds of Mario Kart. Let's play a few rounds of Mario Golf. Let's take turns in Pilot Wings. Like, it's actually really fun. And it's not deep diving into these games. It's almost like, because I don't feel the pressure of like, oh my god, I'm spending $8 on a virtual console Mario 64, or I gotta beat it. It's more like, I don't care. I'm paying a cheap price out of this entire library. But with Game Boy and Game Boy Advance, for me, like there'll be tons of experimentation, weird games that I missed. And I'm just looking forward to that now. Now that N64, the well is kind of dry. Anyways, is there there's a lot on Game Boy Advance that could come out in weird games. The one thing I did want to get into though was Super Mario Advance 4, Super Mario Bros. 3. So this is like the kind of like the Mario All-Stars version of Mario Bros. 3. We have Mario Bros. 3 so many different times. So I just had to look into this. Super Mario Advance 1 is Super Mario Bros. Super Mario Advance 2 is Super Mario World. Super Mario Advance 3 is Yoshi's Island. Super Mario Advance 4 goes back in time to Super Mario Bros. 3. So it like doesn't make sense, right? Like it skips Mario Bros. 2, it goes to it's the most confusing thing ever that Super Mario Advance 4 is Super Mario Bros. 3. Okay, I gotta just put that out there, how silly that was. I don't know if you ever knew that. I just kind of laughed at all that.
I always thought Super Mario Advance 2 was Yoshi's Island, but you're right. It's Super Mario Advance 3. I knew that one had that weird title, but I didn't, and I knew Super Mario World was also one of the advances, but I didn't know that Super Mario Advance 4 was Super Mario 3.
It's weird, but I think the interesting thing there is that them releasing this. I mean, I think Link's Awakening is cool because it's almost like a nod to the remake. Hey, you've played the remake, try the original, see what it's like. But they haven't explicitly released. I guess they have released Mario All Stars, but now that they're releasing like multiple versions of Mario Bros. 3, I actually want them to release the Game Boy Advance and Game Boy versions of Donkey Kong Country, which is Donkey Kong Land and the Donkey Kong Country Game Boy Advance version. Because I don't know. We played some of those over the years. I remember back in the day we had them, but it would just be really cool to play through like Donkey Kong Country 2 or 3 again. Not the classic Super Nintendo way I played thousands of years, but the Game Boy Advance version. Just see like different pixel graphics, or play the Donkey Kong Land and see those versions.
But I'm pretty sure the Donkey Kong Land has several different levels.
It does. Land, I think Land 1 and 2 they made, which are completely different. But then they made Donkey Kong Country, I believe 1, 2, and 3. I could be wrong. I don't know. Maybe you can look that up. Yeah. But I know Donkey Kong Country 3 came out for Game Boy Advance. But I'd love for those to come back. Sometimes people speculate Nintendo doesn't want to because they'd rather you have like the best, the cleanest version, not the down ports. But I like that kind of stuff. So I'd love that kind of stuff to come to these apps. what do we call them to these?
Yeah, like like a streaming service.
But it's not streaming. You download each game. It's
Cool.
It's more like a catalog. You're downloading a catalog.
But you don't actually download them.
Yeah, you do.
So when I download them all and I turn off my internet, I can play them forever.
Yep.
Even if my subscription ends.
I think the game might do like an internal clock check every couple months. So unless you stop your internal clock or reset it every day, it might like after 40 days of internal clock be like, hey, we need to check the internet for updates for you to play this. I don't know, but yeah, like, because you got to think the entire N64 collection is like not even 1 gigabyte. So these games are so small, and that's actually one of my reasons why I think GameCube is not going to be ever coming to Virtual Console, because those games were 1.5 gigabytes per disc or more if they're multi-disc. So that's just an unfeasible library to carry over, as like a 50 gigabyte collection.
Yeah.
For this generation, at least. But anyways, I'm super happy with that, and the fact that they came out yesterday and I got to play it with my friend online, like, awesome. Anything else you want to touch on there, Derek?
No, let's keep moving through this direct. We got a lot to cover.
I know. I did have one question for you. Do you think that this is the end of consoles coming to Nintendo Switch Online? Do you think we'll see anything else?
Ooh, good question.
Virtual Boy, DS.
Yeah, I think DS is just structurally hard to do with the two screens. Like, I know you could put them both on the one screen, but it had the touchpad. It had two screens. I think this is probably the last we'll see of. At least on the Switch, because I'm a bigger believer that the Switch 2 will come before they even would have time to put out another one of those.
Put out a quick Virtual Boy with all 8 games for Christmas.
No one wants to play Virtual Boy.
I'd be in just for the experiment of trying to, just to be like,
yeah,
okay,
me too, yeah.
I heard Mario Tennis for Virtual Boy is okay. Okay, let's move on. After that, they had an announcement that also made me really excited. That is Xenoblade 3 DLC. I'm kidding. I don't really care, but it seems like it got a lot of people excited. There's a wave coming on February 15th, the new character, and then there's a wave coming this fall with new story content. Not gonna make me buy that game. How about you, Derek?
No. Yeah, I'm not into it. Like, it looks cool. Looks like a decent expansion, but yeah, not for me.
Also with DLC, this one might interest you. Fire Emblem Engage just came out a week ago or so, or 2 weeks ago. Has new DLC coming to it, including story DLC and characters such as Chrome and Robin. You gonna buy this?
So let me tell you, the fact that Wave 1 came out when the game launched, and Wave 2 came out today, and I barely played the game. I was very tempted. I'm like, now that there's 2 waves out, like, why not just go for it and enjoy that? But I've decided not to, because of a different game that was shown during this direct. You gotta save your money, so gotta make choices. And I decided, like, the DLC looks fun. It's not worth the price for me, and I don't necessarily know if I love Fire Emblem Engage to the level of needing to get more content of it. I think once I play through it once, I'll be like, well, that's a really good game, I enjoyed it, but I don't need to be like playing more or even coming back to the game later.
Did you get the DLC for Three Houses?
Oh no.
Okay.
I did not like Three Houses.
And it's not cheap when it's 4 waves or whatever, but it's probably like what, $40 or $50 all in, right?
Yeah, it's 40. I think it's $40 Canadian, and yeah, it's like, you get like 2 rings, which like comes with 2 levels, or 3 rings come with 3 maps. But when the base game is 45 maps or something, and it costs $80, you're getting maybe 12 maps for $40. Doesn't seem quite balanced. You know what,
though? Just a little bit of a side topic, but I'm always wondered about these wave packs, and if they're better off to do something like a Monster Hunter Sunbreak and just wait a year later and release it as a much more targeted marketing individual thing, versus the waves just seem kind of weak. And we'll get to that even with some of these other waves, because there's another weak wave coming.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about. But it's just, sometimes I don't understand the whole wave thing, and I'm not so hungry that if I had bought Fire Emblem Engage a week ago, that I'd be like, oh my god, I need wave 2 and 3 now. Like, I can wait till September to get a big all 4 waves at once.
Yeah, like I wonder if Nintendo did some, feedback groups and found that people were more likely to buy a season pass right as the game came out if they knew that there was going to be multiple waves coming out throughout the year to create longevity in the game, as opposed to they play the game, they enjoyed it, they dropped it, and then 8 months later they say, hey, there's a big thing coming. Which one makes people buy more? Knowing that the game they're about to buy gives them longevity, or knowing that, or they get excited 8 months later after dropping the game.
It's got to be
I don't
a
know.
case by case basis, I would think.
Yeah, I agree.
But anyways, let's. So there's a big DLC direct because Nintendo has all these big games out right now. So the next one that they showed was the Splatoon 3 DLC, which I'm not gonna lie, when they first kind of said, "Okay, Splatoon 3, we're gonna talk about this," I got up in my chair. I'm like, "Okay, here it is. What is it? What is it?" And so I don't quite understand. A lot of people were confused by this announcement. It's 2 waves coming as paid DLC. I don't even know the price. Maybe you do. I couldn't find the actual price for this paid DLC 2-wave expansion.
I don't know and don't care.
Okay, well,
But,
I mean,
yeah.
anyways, the first wave coming this spring is Inkopolis, which there's an area of the town that lets you get in a train and go to like basically the hub from the Splatoon 1. I don't understand why anyone would really want to pay to have a new hub. I figure at this point most people who are playing Splatoon a lot probably don't even run around the hub very much at all. Just for
I cannot.
time. Like,
The only thing I could see is if that hub had more things in it than the base game already. Like if it was something like, hey, like you can go back to Inkopolis and play
the single player.
The single player, or all the old maps, and just be in that old Splatoon 1 rotation with the old guns and the old costumes.
Which they
and
wouldn't do because it would split the user base. They would never do that.
Yeah, true.
I
know they would. Yeah.
What they could do is what you said is include the single player.
Yeah, true. I mean, at the end of the day, most people, I don't know, is that really worth it though? Wave 1 just be like, hey, we're playing Splatoon 1 again?
Well,
I don't know.
Content to be played versus like right now it's like, okay, get on a train, load screen, load up in Ingopolis. Like it's like a cool little throwback, and maybe we get to see it with a little bit sharper graphics and new details, but like that's it. Like it's so cosmetic.
But there's got to be something else. Like it's got to be like, hey, like we added this, like old. It's like throwback stuff. I don't know. There's got to be something to it.
I don't know. Very strange. And if they did have something like the single player, which I think would be okay, because then it would be available on the Switch, even though it's like it's a basic single player. At least it's content. I don't know. But Wave 2, it was kind of they showed a little trailer for it. It's coming, I guess, later. They didn't really say when. It's called Side Order, and it looks and it almost is implied to be like a new single player campaign. What did you think about this?
Yeah, I got kind of when I saw it, I got kind of vibes from Chicory, whatever how you pronounce that game.
Because the whole
like,
world was white.
Yeah, like I had this feeling almost like part of the game is something that sucked all the color out, and part of the things you have to do is like add color to things to make them change. Like you shoot a tree or a seed and it grows when it's full of color. Like those kind of
or like a door that has an apple on it will only open when you spray it red.
Exactly, yeah.
I think that's fun as hell. That'd be really fun.
Yeah, I think there could be some really cool ideas with that, and I think Splatoon is all about these kind of painting colors. So as opposed to like mucking up a city, maybe you're like revitalizing it with the color. So yeah, I think that's cool. Again, I probably won't get it, but I'm excited to hear about it from you.
Yeah, you know what else I kind of hope they do is, you remember that one item in the single player, and it's also in the multiplayer, where you can kind of like just fly like Spider-Man across the map?
Yeah.
I really think like the last level of Splatoon 3 where they kind of explored that was one of the best levels of the game, and I would love to see more of that, or even something like almost like the game Grow Home, where it's like you grow, you kind of just keep going up and up and up, and you can fall, and I don't know, but still it's a weird thing for me, this DLC, because like I don't know if I really want to pay for it, especially at least until Side Order comes out, like. Because maybe I'll wait a year after Side Order comes out and it gets added to Nintendo Switch Online. Like, I just don't care about the Inkopolis at all. And I'm not sure why it's not
unless
free.
we learn more. unless we learn more about it.
I don't think there is anything else to it. I think that's it. And
That's got to be that's the weirdest DLC I've ever heard of from Nintendo ever.
I think the way they see it is that when both waves are out, it'll just be like it'll be basically buying side order with this side package. But yeah, I don't know why side order isn't just its own thing to be purchased later, and Inkopolis isn't free.
Exactly. That's why I think there's more to it that we don't know about.
Maybe. Yeah. I also hope that they give us like new levels and some new weapons and maybe some more salmon run stages. Like that's kind of what I was hoping for, like a regular update. You know, maybe a new Splatfest, like not just the paid one coming in the distant future. So I was a little disappointed by the Splatoon 3 announcement as a whole.
Yeah, I've already moved on from Splatoon 3. I don't know if I'll ever pick it up very often again. Okay. So
I still play it. I like it. But yeah, even side order.
I only play with you, so
even side order, I have to say, like I was hoping for a new mode, not just a new campaign. I was kind of hoping for like a new co-op mode or a new, maybe 3-player co-op story mode or something. Like I was kind of hoping for something more exciting. I don't know what side order is, but it just kind of looks like more stages in a single player. That's what I think it'll be.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. They announced that Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp, is coming on April 21st. Pretty slim announcement. What do you think about this, Derek?
Yeah, I'm glad they're finally getting it out. I understand why they had the delay and whatnot with Ukraine. And, for all the people that have been waiting for it, awesome. Like, I think, decent games and nostalgia. I didn't love Advance Wars. I had Advance Wars, I think 1 and 2 for the Game Boy Advance and then the DS. Mm-hmm. Right? I thought they were going to be more like Fire Emblem because I was already off a kind of a big Fire Emblem high since, Fire Emblem 7 on the Game Boy Advance. But I've learned about myself. I don't like the turn-based strategy games where you don't have unique heroes. Like I don't want to keep making tanks and soldiers that just are fodder. Like that's not what I'm about. I want to have like overpowered guys that can take on an army.
Yeah, totally different style of game, even though they're similar in a way, right?
Exactly. Like all the power to the people that find this fun. It just isn't my kind of strategy RPG or strategy game. I guess it's not really an RPG. So I won't be getting it. I also don't think the graphics are my style either. What do you think?
A year ago I was gung-ho on buying this, and I'm still kind of on the fence just because April 21st is like not even a month away from Zelda and not even 2 weeks away from Redfall and not even a month after, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's like I just don't have the time to like get into it. I really like Advance Wars. I actually like it more than Fire Emblem because to me it's almost like it's a different version of chess almost. Like it's kind of like a board game. I really like this package. Like I know it's not the classic pixel graphics, but it's for what they've done with the animation and the graphical style, and just like it looks like it has one of those kind of Persona inspired user interfaces. It's like really flashy and well done. I think this is like the most. I mean, let's put it this way: a few years ago, in the first year or two of Switch, if you asked a Nintendo message board what games do you want to make a comeback, there would be lots of people saying, "Oh, I really want Advance Wars to come back. They haven't made one in a long time," and I think this is pretty much the best you can hope for. Like this, it looks great. WayForward's a good developer. There's online. You can share new maps. It's got multiplayer. It's got 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. I really think it's a great package. And I'm at the point now where like my finger's on the trigger to get another Nintendo voucher because I'm all digital, and I just need that other game. So I've already I bought the 2 vouchers for Zelda and Pikmin 4. And we can talk about, Zelda, we'll talk about it later, but it has a higher price and this and that. But I'm literally on the trigger to buy another voucher, and Advance Wars will be one of those games. So just got to see what else they announce.
Yeah, what other game? Unfortunately, Octopath 2 isn't on it.
I know, I did look for that, and almost no third-party games are. And Metroid apparently wasn't on it either.
I think it's only Nintendo published games.
And the odd... Well, I mean, I guess Mario and Rabbids isn't on it either. Sparks of Hope, because that would have been another one to be a good addition. You're right; it is only Nintendo published.
Yeah.
But the cool thing with the vouchers is, at least if they follow the staple of last time, it's every Nintendo published game that will come out in the future as well. Any full price
Until
game.
until your voucher expires.
Yeah, but even last time they extended the vouchers. When they were set to expire, they extended it for like another 6 months. So, like, I might even just load up on vouchers. Just maybe they'll release a game that they're gonna have something come out this fall. You know what I mean? But nice yawn there, Derek. You tired?
Yeah, sorry.
Get excited here. Okay. Anyways, let's move on. Kirby's Return to Dreamland. We kind of know about this as a known quantity. They have a demo that just came out. Have you tried it, Derek?
I haven't. There's a few demos that I want to try, and I would like to try this one. But no, I've been honestly so busy I haven't turned on a single video game system.
Okay, so I'll just kind of get through the. I know you've been busy. I'll get through the bullet points here. They showed off a brand new single player campaign that you unlock after the main campaign.
With that new character, I thought that looked awesome. Like,
Same.
that was like kind of a cool selling point.
And one of the things to keep in mind with Return to Dreamland is when they first said you have to beat the main game first, I kind of laughed. I'm like, okay, way to add time to the game, to like, way to add, like, force me to beat the game.
Yeah,
basically.
filler. Yeah.
But it's not a very long game. So it's not like, oh my, it'll probably take, I think it's like a 5-hour game.
Like 4 hours, something like that. Yeah.
There's another addition to this where it's like a huge bevy of mini games plucked from all the past Kirby games have been kind of remixed and remastered for this. Yeah, and so I did play the demo, and I have to say, like, it's surprisingly great. The 2D gameplay is surprisingly beautiful, and it's like runs at 60 frames, and it feels smoother than it's ever felt. Yes, it's that simple gameplay, but it feels really good, and the backgrounds look really nice. The mini games I played were surprisingly fun. Like, the one I played, I'm like, wow, this is a mini game that I could see playing with my friends over and over again all night. It's one game. It's like a tank style game. And I'm just kind of like, wow, this package, I kind of scoffed at it when they announced it before, but this looks like by far the best 2D Kirby package ever. And I might buy it, and it might be a voucher game I get. So the demo.
Well, there's your second one.
Honestly, I just don't want to spend like $500 in one day on games. I limited myself to $350. So one voucher plus Metroid was a lot. So the one thing with this game, so I'm just gonna say it looks great. I'm probably gonna buy it eventually. It's the 2D Kirby game to get for a group of friends. You and Sarah might like it, but I think it's weird that it's coming out the exact same day as Octopath Traveler 2. They just seem
that
like,
is weird. I didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, they both kind of speak to the Nintendo audience in a way, and it just seems like they're both. It seems like there's no hype around Octopath Traveler 2, and it comes out in like 2 weeks.
Yeah. I don't know. So again, Nintendo's not publishing Octopath Traveler 2. They published one, but a demo just came out during this direct as well. People seem to really, really like it. It's improved on the original in every way.
Yep.
But yeah, like there's no hype or news about it at all. And you're right, it's coming out in 2 weeks. So
I feel like Nintendo, it's multi-platform this time. And Octopath Traveler 1, they had like an exclusive deal for the first year. This is coming to Steam on day one, and I believe PS5 on day one.
Yeah.
And I believe the PS5 demo is 4K 60 frames.
That is indeed true as well.
So, so I think, but the funny thing is, I bet that Octopath Traveler 1 will be the better seller in the end. And that had Nintendo published this, they wouldn't have very foolishly launched it in this incredibly busy time. They would have waited till like mid-August or something. And they would have focused it on it in a direct and yada yada, and it would have got a lot more hype. But I think the only chance for Octopath 2 at this point, it looks really good graphically. I mean, I even was like, should I try it? I'm not going to.
People, again, if you check what people are saying on the demo and the forums, like everyone says the story's better, the characters are more interesting, the world's better, the music's better, the graphics are better, the fighting's better, like everything's better. Is what people are saying.
I can see it like it getting a 90 plus on Metacritic somehow, being the game like finally the perfect 2D HD JRPG throwback. You know what I mean? Like they still haven't landed it in my opinion, but I feel like they will. And if this is it could do really well. But I feel like if it's good but flawed and kind of in the 80s range, it'll get just buried.
You know what? I think it will get buried, and unfortunately, that's okay. Like, it'll make it a cheap game soon. And Square Enix, they just overload their year, and I don't know why they put it out in this time, and why they're not advertising it. Like, it's a sequel to a pretty decently well-selling series or game. So I just, you're right. It's totally under the radar.
If they should really delay it by even just like a month. Because even like for Star Wars Jedi Survivor, they delayed it a month. Just getting it away from Resident Evil, I think it will be a good move. But in this case, like getting it away from Kirby and getting it away for PS5, getting it away from Resident Evil. I don't know. It just seems like a later in the year, mid of the year. JRPGs seem to do better when they're not competed with.
Yeah, but honestly, the first 6 months of this year are just stacked every month, every week. Like, it's gross. Like, every month has huge games.
Totally. Another one coming is Disney Illusion Island.
Can't wait.
You scoff at it, and I kind of scoffed at it, but it actually looks good.
I don't really want it, but like, it actually surprised me how good it looked. It reminded me a lot of that game, Magical Mickey or whatever it was.
Yep.
Like, it just looks like a fun kind of platformer. It looks well made. Like, it looks good.
I got more Rayman Legends vibes out of it, like kind of like slick, new kind of new animation, fast paced. More, but yeah, probably not going to buy it though.
No, yeah,
almost definitely not going to buy it.
Hard pass.
Sea of Stars, the RPG kind of SNES RPG throwback, comes on August 29th.
Yeah, it came out with a demo. That's been on my want list for like 3 years now. I don't know if I'm actually going to get it though, because I didn't love The Messenger. It's made by the same team that made The Messenger.
I was just going to say that, yeah.
It looks beautiful. But I've been again reading the reviews or the opinions about the demo on the forums, and people are saying, if you compare this to the game that came out in December, Chained Echoes, they're like, Chained Echoes is like, why not just play that if you have Game Pass? Like, it's just so well made that the bar.
People are saying Chained Echoes is better.
They're just saying the bar is so high that from this demo, it's not necessarily worse. It's just like, they're already noticing some quality of life things that Chained Echoes has, or it's kind of just like, you might as well play the game that's already out. And people are worried that this game is, even though it's going to be good, is not going to be as good as that, and it's going to be dragged down hard because these two games will be compared. Like, these two games are the JRPG nostalgia SNES kind of.
Absolutely.
And Chained Echoes, I think it's like a 91 on Metacritic.
Like the Chrono Trigger style games almost.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's well received. So Sea of Stars, I think it has that potential too. It just has a lot to live up to.
I felt let down by The Messenger. I didn't play it, but I just remember there was a lot of hype about it being kind of like Ninja Gaiden, and what I heard from you and what I heard about the reviews, it just seemed like they kind of did this weird backtracking left turn in it, and
hated that.
So
that's when I stopped playing.
Sea of Stars, they're like, oh, it's in the Messenger universe, and I guess I was like, I don't care. But I think The Messenger was fairly successful. I think it came out at the right time. It had the right nostalgia kick. It came out early in the Switch's life. So I think it did quite well. But I think maybe it's overstated how... I don't want to say how good the developer is, but like why they should be relying on that game as their like, hey, from the developer of Messenger,
Yeah, exactly. Like, to me, it's not a bad game by any means. Like, it's a solid 7.5. I put it down exactly when you said. But yeah, like, again, this game looks really, really nice. So I have faith and hope, and I'm excited to see where it kind of takes. But yeah, like,
it's probably going to come to Game Pass.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I'm very iffy about buying indie games at all now, especially if they're like Xbox PS5 centric, because Microsoft seems to really rally those in. Like, I'll just wait. Most indie games now, I just want to wait for Game Pass.
But most like JRPGs and stuff, Xbox doesn't get. Like, they're not getting Octopath Traveler 2.
Yeah, because when they get it, they'll have to make a deal with Square to put it on Game Pass. Like, almost even all the Persona games are in Game Pass. It seems like Microsoft only gets Japanese-centric games when they get the Game Pass deal. Like, that's why all of Yakuza is on Game Pass. And Wolong and et cetera. So, But when it comes to games like Sea of Stars, it just seems like Microsoft has been really good at rallying those indie games a little later. And I think like even that game Sifu that came to Switch and PlayStation last year and Steam isn't on Xbox yet, but I'm pretty sure they're prepping for a Game Pass release. Like I think that's been the rumor, right?
Oh, that's cool.
Anyways, let's move on. This is Nintendo centric. I keep using the word centric. Next, they showed Bayonetta Origins, Cereza and the Lost Demon. And this actually had previews drop for it recently, too. It kind of showed a little more gameplay. It got a little more into the actual gameplay where you control Cereza with one Joy-Con and the demon with the other Joy-Con. Kind of like an ambidextrous gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Derek? Has this sold you? Full price?
I see. The issue is I don't think I'll ever buy this game full price. I would probably love to pick up this game if it was $25, or if I found a used copy or something. I think this game looks a lot better than you think it does, or you at least thought it did. I think this game looks like it has really cool, probably puzzles in it. That dual analog kind of each character reminds me of almost like a twin stick shooter where you really have to know what you're doing with each hand, which I think is going to make combat really interesting. I think it looks really, really nice, and I think it's going to, I don't know how well it's going to sell, but I think it's going to review quite well. But yeah, for me, just to spend all my money on that game again when it's such a heavy season of gaming, not for me. But I think it looks really awesome. Like I'm more on board with this than some other Switch games.
Interesting. Yeah, so I'll admit that since I read some of the previews that were pretty glowing, by the way, and watched more gameplay, I've come around on it. Like, I think it looks pretty good. It even looks great. Like, I really think the visual style, how it kind of paints itself, it reminds me of Okami. And I think the gameplay sounds really neat, where she has to kind of use her spells to help the demon and, like, stall the enemies, and the demon does all the fighting. Could be really cool and unique. Like, this kind of... Platinum seems really focused on, like, you know, using multiple people in fights, right? With Bayonetta 3, with Wonderful 101, with Astral Chain, and now this. Like, so it's cool to see all these different implementations of controlling multiple fighters. But again, we live in a world, Derek, where people are arguing right now about
We live in a world.
Metroid Prime Remaster being overpriced at $40. We live in that world. Bayonetta Origins, Cereza, and the Lost Demon, which, for one, I don't even know what acronym to use when I describe this game. I call it the Cereza game. That's kind of a weird way. I mean, this game doesn't have a strong brand.
I would just say Bayonetta Origins.
But even that feels weird because it's like such not a Bayonetta game in control or gameplay. And I mean, even Bayonetta 3, which is, I think, an outstanding game, we know now has sold just over 1 million copies, which is good. But
I think this game. I think this game is going to tank. It's going to sell terribly, but I think it's going to review pretty decently well.
Yeah,
it's just going to be like it's going to be one of those kind of cult favorites where people like it, and people that play it are like, this game is so awesome, everyone's going to try it. And Reset Arrow will probably like it a lot, but I don't think it's going to sell anything. I think it's going to bomb in sales.
I think it's an example of a very ill-priced game.
If this game was $40 or if even $50 Canadian, like I probably would get this.
Same.
You know, like it looks, but $90 is just crazy.
I don't think this will happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if they end up announcing a price drop for it before release. Like I think Nintendo of America and Nintendo can be pretty dense sometimes, and they might way overstate how popular this game is, and they're going to see how bad the pre-orders are. I don't know. I mean,
I could also see it being, you know, one of the few times where, I don't know if this is officially a Nintendo game, where it does drop in price pretty quickly, like goes on sale, you know, a month later and drops.
I don't think
40%
so.
off.
They're publishing it, and I think if Nintendo wasn't publishing it, it wouldn't be full price in the first place. So I actually think that you're right that Nintendo's internal teams or internal testing or whatever are like, this is a strong game. And the previews have been glowing, and I think it goes back to the conversation we had when it was first announced, when I said this game's going to suck, and you said, well, if it's priced that high, it must be good, you know?
Yeah.
So it's interesting, though. It's truthfully, it's exactly what you said. In such a crowded market right now, it almost seems obscene almost. Like it's just too much.
Yeah, like
Not
yeah,
fun.
like
Not fun too much.
and again, you're going back to the price and the size, like just it's so easy to buy a $40 or $50 game amidst these crazy big AAA $80 games.
Palate
Like I don't,
cleanser,
like
yeah.
with Resident Evil 4 and I'm trying to scroll up here.
Dead Space.
Fire Emblem, Forspoken, Dead Space, whatever. It's like I don't mind, or a lot of people wouldn't mind dropping a $40 game as a filler, right? But
Yep.
to drop another $80 game is like, well, I can't do that because Resident Evil 4 is like what, a week after? Like it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, totally. It's less to do with it actually being a busy release calendar and just the competition with full price games. Truthfully, like
Exactly.
because if it was on
Exactly.
Game Pass or it was on NSO or it was one of those kind of like complimentary games, it'd be like perfect. It'd be like great, I can totally palate cleanse with this. But yeah, it's just not. Yeah, it's just. I honestly think it's another. I don't know. It's a weird one.
Like
weird.
Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe isn't full price, is it?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
But the difference with that one is, I will say, is that for one, it's coming out a little earlier than Bayonetta. It's not coming out in the big March month.
It's a bigger brand too, really.
And it's also got, I gotta say, like, just try the demo. You'll be surprised. Like, I was really taken aback by how much fun I had with it and how polished it all is. And the mini games are great. Like, it's more of a package than you think. It's not just taking the mini games from Kirby's Return to Dreamland on Wii. It's taking them from all the Kirby games. So it's got this big. It's almost like they could release it as its own game. This whole mini game mode. So it's significant. I don't think Bayonetta Origins is going to have that. I think it's pretty much a campaign with cutscenes.
Yeah.
Could be wrong.
Anyways, I'm
Could be
excited.
wrong.
I'm excited to see more about it. Like it looks interesting at least.
Totally. I really, unless it's. I mean, I what score would it have to get on Metacritic, Derek, for you to buy it? That's what I'm curious about.
If it hit an 88. If it did, Bayonetta real game numbers like 88, 89, I would definitely get it. Maybe not day one, but I would definitely say this is a game I have to play if it's that high.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same boat. And if it gets over a 94, I'll get it day one.
If it gets over a 92, I'll get it.
Imagine it's just this is the darling game of the year. It's like this bit loved child for all gamers, and it's just like
I could honestly though I could see people being like, this is a really unique game, fully fleshed out, unique genre game that we haven't really seen this kind of fleshed out before, and it's gorgeous graphics, and people giving it 90s.
or tens and being like, this is awesome, and maybe
So,
later in the game, the gameplay gets awesome. Yeah,
like it could, knowing again Platinum how crazy and how good they are at continuously adding more and amping it up more and more. Like this game could get wildly awesome by the second half of the game where there's crazy stuff going on, really really cool. And I don't know, like a 90 and a 91 isn't really off the table for this game.
yeah. And the other thing, I from what I've heard, it's a big passion project at Platinum. Like it's a big. They care about this project a lot. I think it's been something they've wanted to make for a while. Anyways, let's move on.
Yes.
We've got the new Professor Layton teaser trailer. They didn't show any gameplay. It's just a teaser. Level 5 is back with the new world of Steam. Which when I first read that, I was like, oh, is this for Steam? Like, what's happening? Or is it Steam World Big?
Did Level 5 always make Professor Layton? I know they made Yokai Watch.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know who actually made Professor Layton. Okay, that's interesting.
Nintendo's
I've never
published
played-
a few of them, and a few were exclusive on DS and 3DS. They're kind of synonymous with DS and 3DS and the touchscreen.
Yeah, I've never played any of them, so I don't think I'll probably jump into the franchise now. But awesome for those that are excited for it.
I'm surprised you've never tried it, being like into puzzles and stuff. Very popular.
I just don't
puzzle
think
game.
I don't think I knew about them well enough for the DS and 3DS. They weren't like advertised into my stratosphere of gaming knowledge, and now I just feel like that's not really my style of puzzle game. I don't know.
I don't think we'll see the new Professor Layton game until the next Switch is out. I think this game was announced early. And I got the sense that Level 5, who are not doing well, they haven't really had a success in a long time. Yokai Watch 4 bombed. Like they just haven't. Their whole Yokai Watch in that soccer series they have I think it's called Inazune 11, have not done very well. They've basically peaked. Like Yokai Watch was hitting Pokemon level sales in its heyday on DS.
Yeah, I remember it was like
Just
1 and 2 in Japan were like 3 million. Yeah.
Fell off completely, and it didn't really have a great run in the West. So it looks like with this direct, level 5 has really maybe come to Nintendo on their knees and said, "Can you support us here?" And so they had two announcements with, the new Professor Layton game and this game called Deca Police, which is the next announcement.
Oh, that was level 5 too. Okay.
Yeah, and so this game looks totally like a level 5 RPG, but it sounds like it's coming this year. Sounds like it's a Switch exclusive. It's a brand new series and game, and as much as the art style didn't appeal to me at first, watching the trailer again, it actually looks like I'm not going to buy it because I'm not into JRPGs, but it looks like it could find its audience. It's got kind of a quirky, almost like an open world, but like city kind of cartoon graphics RPG mystery game.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks polished, but it looks polished within its art style, is the note I took.
Yeah, I like the art style of it, actually. But, yeah.
Yeah, this could be the kind of that mini... I mean, level 5 was very popular on handheld, so this could be kind of with them bridging that gap.
I hope they do well. Like, they obviously have potential to do, big numbers and get games that people want to come back for more. So... They know some secret spice or secret sauce, if that makes sense. Like they know what formula works clearly, but they also have made some missteps. So hopefully they can bring back kind of a hit.
Yeah, I feel like Deca Police is one of those games that might have a kind of a quiet fall release like Harvestella last year, but find its audience. Mm-hmm. We should definitely add it to our Metacritic guess.
You can put it on if you want.
Okay, I will. Another game they showed was Samba de Amigo Party Central, which is a kind of a Dreamcast game series from Sega that started on Dreamcast. Basically a rhythm game that you play with maracas.
Yeah, this looked fun.
Yeah, my only qualm with it is apparently it was great fun on Dreamcast, but the Wii version, the motion controls didn't work very well. And I don't know if the hyper intense kind of perfection of rhythm games suits waggling in the air at different levels. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the original had like a maraca set that you actually bought, and it sounded like maracas. So I don't know what to make of this. I feel like it could be horrible, like broken even. And Sega is not beyond that. So
yeah, this could be a janky mess, or it could be a fun game, kind of like Just Dance, or like I know this is totally not the same genre at all, but I got kind of the Boom Blocks vibe from it, where it's kind of seems like a simple game, but it could be really addictively fun.
Yeah, I actually want them to bring Boom Blocks back because that was a really cool idea, and it would work with the Joy-Con.
I loved Boom Blocks. Yeah.
So another couple quick announcements. We Love Katamari, coming in June. They already have a Katamari game on Switch, but We Love Katamari is the one everyone loves. So if you are looking to get into Katamari, this is probably the one to go with, because when it came out on PS2, like late stage PS2, it was like the peak of the series. So even when they brought the last the last Katamari, I can't remember what it's called, Katamari Damacy, people were kind of like,
Reroll?
Reroll. People were like, well, why would they re-release this one? Why don't they re-release We Love Katamari? That's the great one that it has like all the content of the other ones, and it's like the WarioWare Gold of Katamari. So
yeah.
they also announced Ghost Trick Phantom Detective is getting an HD release on Switch and every other next-gen system.
So apparently this is a remake or whatever. I've never even heard of this game.
So it's a DS game from Capcom. I played it. I have it. It's awesome. It's a cool kind of point and click game where you can like really cool
prevent
animation.
Your death.
But you're dead, but you kind of inhabit different. It's almost like Geist. You inhabit different objects. So you kind of like, but it's really cool because you'll like kind of make these Rune Goldberg puzzles where like you'll make an umbrella fall and turn a light on and make someone trip, and then the water will make them slip, and then they'll hit the, you know what I mean? It's kind of this, but it's really neat system where you can like rewind it and figure out the puzzle really intuitively, all while telling a story. Cool. It's really, really good, and I don't know how it's going to work without. This is the kind of game I'd really only want to play with touch controls, and I really hope it's not just analog moving a cursor around. That'd be really lame.
I bet you it is.
That's what they showed in the video, but they should have a handheld mode because it really is that kind of game. And they released it on mobile. So to be honest, it's cool and everyone's happy it's coming, but they already have a iPhone version. So it's speculated that this is just a kind of a port.
A port.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had Fantasy Island I with some other weird subtitle like the girl who something. But this is coming this year. I actually played Fantasy Life on the 3DS. Which was a kind of like a open world RPG with it almost feels like a Baldur's Gate for kids, but with the entire Animal Crossing Sims built into it for kids.
Cool.
It's actually really good. It's like there's so much content. So when I saw this, I was like, oh, cool, they're bringing it back because they tried to go mobile, they tried to go free to play, and they kind of cratered the series. So this is kind of like the first time back to console. Like people were pissed when Fantasy Island 2 was not announced for 3DS or Switch. They were like, whoa, you're going to phone and you're doing this kind of thing. But now they're coming back. Looks like it could be good. I'm probably not going to get into it, but it looks good. I'm surprised by how good it looks. It looks like a cut above all those other kind of farming RPG games that came last year. Mm-hmm. Do you want any comments there, Derek? Or
not really. I don't know. I mean,
okay,
not really.
I'll kind of blow through.
That's not. I saw the game and it looked it looked interesting. It reminded me a little bit of Animal Crossing, a little bit kind of like a Zelda game. It didn't look polished enough for me. Like there's so many indie games that this one graphically is this kind of graphics. Like it's not quite chibi, but it doesn't quite jump out to me. It doesn't look
not
nice.
my kind of game either. It strikes me as the kind of game that maybe somebody who like only plays exclusively on their Switch Lite and loves sim games like this might love.
Mm-hmm. This could be
But
exactly.
I can see it reviewing decently. Is what I mean. Like it's not a dud of a game.
I didn't know that it had such a
pedigree,
past support. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Another announcement, which I think you might be interested in, was the Dead Cells return to Castlevania. I thought it looked really cool. I just don't know if I'll be in the mind. Like it's only $11, and it'll be $5 in a couple months. So.
Like I think it looks really cool, but I don't love Dead Cells. Like I played through it. It's my least favorite of all the roguelites I played. Like it just isn't my. Something about it just felt really repetitive when compared with games like Hades or Enter the Gungeon or.
I like it more than Enter the Gungeon, and I liked it more than what's that other one everybody likes? Binding of Isaac. I still think Dead Cells is fun. Cool, good control.
I like Dead Cells more than Binding of Isaac. Dead Cells for me, it just I don't know. It just felt very the weapons and stuff didn't really interest me very much.
I think the thing that interests me about this is the first Dead Cells felt so inspired by Castlevania, and this they've actually got the license and tie-in, and I think that's the cool part for me is kind of playing a romp through it once, and seeing all that, and then never playing again is kind of what I do. Mm-hmm. Not like I wouldn't like get into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and get every unlock and stuff. Yeah.
Another thing they showed off, and people were clamoring a lot during this direct. They were saying DS fans are eating because another DS game, Etrian Odyssey 1, 2, and 3. People love those games. They're kind of fantasy dungeon crawlers, but they've been kind of remade for Switch now. You can buy them individually or as a package. I'm not really into this kind of game. It really harkens to like an old school style of game, like the kind of like really simple dungeon crawler. I'm not really into dungeon crawlers. Have you ever played a game like that, Derek?
Not like this. Like I played dungeon crawlers like I don't know Diablo, but
that's not at all. Like I'm talking about this kind of classic dungeon crawler where it's like random battles. It's a maze. You have to backtrack. All this stuff.
I feel like I have played a game like this on PC back when I was like 13. But yeah, I don't remember this. Like it was funny even watching this trailer when they first showed the title. I always get Etrian Odyssey and this Aedan Chronicle game mixed up. Yeah, so I was expecting to see Aiden Chronicle 100 Heroes, which is like a game I'm super excited for. And then I got this game, and I remember I've seen Etrian Odyssey, I think 3 and 2 in the past. It looks so boring to me. Like doing this, like, room by room and, like, having the map of which direction you can turn just does nothing for, like, it looks so boring to me.
Yeah, same here. And I think it's one of those things, Derek, where I think you and me, our game tastes are more similar than we think. Even though you like the strategy RPGs, I really like games that are like, I feel like I'm in the moment. And
Yeah.
Etrian Odyssey seems like the counter to that. Like everything is you take your time and everything's you move, like every movement is like an RPG. Like you choose which way to move, and it's like that, right? It's almost like a board game. And I hate to say it, but I can see someone who might have some sort of disability, like a mobility disability, finding this kind of game great and really thrives on this kind of like intellect of this game. Where I like the more like flashing lights, moving around, exploration. So it's just different gaming sensibilities. But I know a lot of people were screaming when these announcements happened, because. Yeah, in the handheld space, these were much loved games.
Like I knew these games were popular because I've heard their names before, but again, like, I'm kind of like you. I want flashy games or I want mentally stimulating games, and this just doesn't look either. Like, it just looks kind of, I don't know.
I think it's more like almost like a cozy game, which a lot of people love cozy games now. I gotta say, there are times where I'm tired and I sit down, I'm ready to play a game, and I'm like, oh, Dead Space. Like, do I really want to, like, am I really mentally ready for that? And I think of all the games I'm like playing, and I'm like, none of them are cozy, and they're all just kind of like, I don't know, like harsh.
You don't find Hi-Fi Rush cozy?
I don't really find it cozy, but I don't find it like challenging. I find it more like stimulating. But I also feel like I have to be kind of mentally ready for that. It's not. I feel like with games like Mario Kart or it's like Breath of the Wild, like
just you just vibe and chill,
turn my brain right off. And that was what was great with Sonic and Vampire Survivor. And right now I guess I'm kind of GoldenEye is my game for that right now, which we'll talk to at the end. But anyways, let's move on to another announcement. We're into the good stuff now, by the way. Baten Kaitos 1 and 2 coming to Switch this summer. Both were GameCube games that were much overlooked, and they're kind of rumored.
Did you play both? Because I know you owned one of them. I just don't know which one, or if you had both.
I own just the first one, and I played just the first one.
Okay.
But the funny thing is, it was a point in time that I wasn't huge into games. It was near the end of the life cycle, and I was getting ready for college or whatever. So I didn't really get to the end of this, but I got pretty far. Like, I got further than I normally would. Let's put it that way in a JRPG. And it was just so antithetical to anything I would have liked. I was like really like a card RPG, like with really whimsical graphics. But I kind of got hooked, and there's something to the card game. I think you might really like this one. There's something to the card gameplay that feels really fast paced. And you're like constantly getting dealt more cards and what items you can use to attack in that moment. And all the cards have these wicked summons and stuff, so it feels like you're not just using the same like attack and special and MP for your specials stuff. It feels really unique. Think you might like this one, Dave.
Yeah. Like, the thing that entices me the most to play this game is the card-based fighting game, because like I do like card-based games the past few years, and I do like kind of these turn-based and RPGs. So that does entice me the most. The graphics, whatever, I know it's old. I don't know the length of this game, and again, with kind of scarce on gaming time, I just don't want to commit 60 hours or whatever to one of these and then actually have two of them. Like, I just don't know if it's worth. Like, I want to play this game in a perfect world when I have time, but when I don't have time, I don't know if this game will make the cut for me to get it.
Yeah, which is almost a topic into itself of like, who would ever have the time to play all these JRPGs with the rate of games coming out now?
Yeah, exactly.
It's almost absurd. It's almost like they need to pause it for a while. But yeah, it's hard. Yeah, or when did we have the time when we were kids to play these games? But I think it actually less games came out, and we didn't have work.
And I also, I had like, you could like play for like 10 hours on a weekend if you really wanted to. Like, I remember, when like even Twilight Princess, that first day it came out, I remember playing like the hell out of that the first day.
Same.
It's like, I'll never have, I almost will never have a day like that ever to play games straight.
Well, it's almost like with Tears of the Kingdom. Like I have to almost take a day or two off and treat it like a holiday event to really sink into it, and I will. But anyways, I think I saw online some people complaining about Baten Kaitos not looking like a great it doesn't look like a remaster. It looks like an upres.
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt.
And the thing I will mention about this game is a lot of it's on pre-rendered backgrounds, so it's an easy game to just re-release. Do you know what I mean? But the two things I'll mention, as well as the card gameplay being great, is that it has I remember it having a really interesting, like, political, mature story. Like, it's not chibi or anime in a way. It felt mature.
And there's a cool twist in the story too.
There's a really cool twist in the story I've had spoiled for me, and also the music is amazing. There's songs I still listen to on my playlists. It's like really good JRPG, almost like the best of Final Fantasy is in this game. And I implore you to even go online and listen to some of even the battle soundtrack. It's really, really good. And I'm
gonna do that right after the podcast.
And just it's a funny note that this is actually a Monolith Soft series and a Nintendo published property, and Nintendo owns this. I don't know if they have to co-produce this with Namco or if Nintendo actually owns this series, but this is an exclusive that won't come out on other systems. So it is, for the Nintendo fans listening and for you and me, like, this is a Nintendo RPG series, which is interesting. And it's not just a port. It's a Nintendo published re-release, and something that no one thought they were going to bring back. So the GameCube fan in me was happy to see this as well.
Yeah. Are you gonna get it?
I don't know. It might be one of those things where I get when it's on sale a year later when I'm going away and I want a kind of handheld game to sink into. But I don't see myself like day one excited for this. Not with Breath of the Wild. Sorry, with Tears of the Kingdom and Pikmin 4. I just don't see myself having a lot of time this summer for a RPG like that. Straight up. So the next thing, we're on to the last three, what I would say are the most major announcements, and I think these were the last three announcements of the show. The first was Mario Kart 8 Booster Pass Wave 4, which they didn't show much of, but they showed a brand new course for Yoshi's Island course.
Looks awesome.
Looks awesome. Has different climates. I noticed a Yoshi's Island question cloud block. I noticed that the coins make the Yoshi Island coin noise. Lots of cool little touches. I'm really excited for this course. And Birdo's back, so that's cool.
Yeah, and it looks like they're gonna add more characters in future waves. And yeah, I agree that.
Why do you say they're gonna add more characters?
They said they did.
Oh, they said they're gonna add more characters?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that. Okay.
I'll have to double check, but I'm pretty sure they said that they're going to add more characters. This is the first. I'm like 99% sure they said that.
I saw people speculating because one of the latest Mario Kart tracks on tour has PD Piranha, like very themed PD Piranha. So they think if they bring that on the next wave, they'll bring PD Piranha as the racer.
Oh, I read somewhere, like, I'll have to double check before I say anything else. I'm pretty sure they said that though. But I also thought the level looks awesome too. I like that there's a water segment and a flying segment, and you're in the sky. I like the sound effects, like you, and the song is such a nostalgic song. Like I love Yoshi's Island, so to have that song playing is just awesome.
Yeah, it's. I'm glad they're making new, like, ambitious new courses for this.
I know, it's just crazy how Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has just never stopped going. Putting out more content, still selling like crazy. Like they could honestly do another round of a
Tracks?
booster pass of like another round of 90 courses or whatever it is, and I would be for sure in.
Yeah, I think that they are getting to a point too where like they know that people know the courses, so they're making like more interesting choices with some of the course designs. So I hope they get more ambitious with some of these brand new courses. I would even love if they like brought back a Diddy Kong racing course and then brought Diddy Kong back in. Like that would just make me so happy.
That'd be cool.
It seems like it's possible now too, right? With brand new courses and with brand new, or hell, just bring back the N64 Donkey Kong racetrack.
The donkey. Oh yeah.
I don't remember what it was called. Was it called DK Jungle?
With the ferry boat.
Yeah, DK Jungle in the cave. So yeah, I don't know. That's cool. I'm glad they opened the door to new racers. That's like just, love Mario Kart.
Yeah, that's awesome.
After that is one of the best announcements I've ever seen, which was Metroid Prime Remastered.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Not gonna lie.
I've been waiting for this for so many years. It's been rumored forever. Retro made it. And it released immediately. Like it released the same day. I couldn't believe it. Like I was so shocked. I bought it. Obviously, I played for many hours. What do you think, Derek? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, like at first when I saw the it on my phone, I couldn't tell how well it was upgraded just because I couldn't see it that well. But I was excited that it was coming to Switch and that this was proven true. I was a little bit let down at first when it said remastered and not remake.
To me, those two terms mean nothing to me now. Like I honestly don't. Between a remake and a remaster, it's just I threw those two terms out, and I'm just gonna look at it and be like, okay, on at face value, what are you changing, and what's like, what do they mean?
So a port is just bringing a game over. And a remaster is upgrading like the textures and whatever, but the same physics and game engine is running behind it. And a remake is rebuilding like the entire philosophy of the game, but under a new vision of it.
Okay.
So like, for example, like Dead Space is a remake because they've added new stuff. They've changed how it all works. Like it's a new engine running behind it. But Metroid Prime Remastered, it's the same game, just all the models have been redone.
Yeah. And I guess where Resident Evil 2 remake and Resident Evil 4 remake are remakes.
It's exactly the remakes. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool. So it has to do with graphics only when we're talking about remake or remaster. Remaster is referring to graphics only.
Exactly. And remake means they built the game completely with a new engine, new everything. And remaster means that it's the same game underneath all of the visual, like all the what you're seeing.
I guess Skyward Sword HD is a remaster.
Yes, 100%.
Okay, I understand now. Yeah. But the thing interestingly with Metroid Prime Remaster is where other games like Skyward Sword or even like Shadow of the Colossus on PS4 have they've kind of redone the graphics. Seems like they've really redone the graphics.
Yeah, so that's when people even break it down further, the difference between an up-res port and a remaster. So the fact that Skyward Sword is an HD makes it probably a remaster, but there are some games like Baten Kaitos, like I don't know if that's actually what it is, but or like Tales of Symphonia, like whatever. Like some of those games are literally the same game, just up-resed. Where Metroid Prime Remaster is literally new models. Like
it's like they remastered the game, but the graphics are a remake.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Anyways. So I didn't know what to expect, and I was let down. But then when I saw footage of it and screens of it, I'm like, damn, this looks freaking awesome. Like it looks so good.
And you're waiting for physical, right?
Yeah.
Let me tell you, it is that awesome. I'm playing it, and it doesn't feel like I'm playing a Switch game. It feels like I'm playing an Xbox Series X game. I swear to God. And it's 60 frames locked. It has beautiful dual analog with gyro implementation. Like the controls feel great.
Are you gonna? I was thinking of plugging in my GameCube controller and playing that way.
I don't know. I gotta say the dual analog and the gyro is just great. Well. It's really fun to kind of look around freely. Where the original GameCube controls, you couldn't do that. Literally couldn't.
Yeah, I heard one of the things too that was cool about it is there's like no load times with the doors being closed for an extra 2 or 3 seconds.
Zero
It's like
so
instantly.
far. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing I'm noticing, and I'm wondering if this is something that like is an internal Nintendo tech, but the streaming of assets is really, really well done. And I've noticed it because you can kind of like go to one far stretch of the platform, or sorry, of the room, and like look at a detail and like run towards it, and then you notice like the little rocks kind of fade in and stuff. Anyways, where something like, I don't know, Breath of the Wild seemed to be not as accomplished with the level of detail load in, and this game nails it. You never notice it, but it's there, because obviously with the level of detail they're showing on the textures and the geometry in something like Fenjana Drifts, when you're on the top platform looking down, it can't be there. It's just not too much for the system to maintain. But whatever sorcery they figured out, they did it amazingly. I'm blown away. I'm so blown away by the tech here, and like just the little effects and the heat distortion, and the textures feel high res, but it feels like they've just gone in and looked at like like an old level in the first one that had like a tree branch, and they just completely redesigned how that entire room would look. I'm loving it. I was like, every room I go in, I'm like, I can't wait to go in the room. That's how cool it is for me.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it.
There is a bit of a feeling though when you're playing it that you almost don't notice it because it's the way you remember it being. It captures it so well. It's really hard to explain. Like there's times where you can almost forget that it didn't look this good.
Yeah, it's like
Dead Space.
It's like nostalgia.
It's the Dead Space effect, where like you can play it
Yeah.
sometime and be like, well, yeah, doesn't really look that different. But if you actually go back, you're like, whoa, and play it in like the resolution it released in, it's staggering. But with Metroid Prime, some of the lighting changes and some of the geometry changes, it is actually staggering how much better it looks and feels. And I can't wait for them. I really hope they make Metroid Prime 2 remake this way.
Me too.
The one thing I was going to ask you about this. You're going to love it, by the way. I don't quite understand this release. I'm almost still surprised by it because to me this is absolutely a full price AAA release. They could charge $79.99 for Metroid Prime Remastered, and they should have announced it a year ago and hyped it up. And it's just so funny that something like Dead Space was announced 2 years ago. We have all these developer interviews and behind the scenes, and then Metroid Prime is just shadow dropped, half price. No, never talk about it again. Like
not just that, but like it's Retro's first game in a long while that they're kind of the name developer on it. So it's a little while that, like they should have been hyping this up for a while. And if you compare it to, again, we go back to this Bayonetta Origins game, it's like, why would they shadow drop this game for $40 when it's like, it's known to be such a huge, like well-received critically game.
no kidding.
And for half the price of compared to Bayonetta. Not that Bayonetta is bad by any means, but it's just.
And what's more appropriate for the Video Game Awards? Like to be the big reveal. What's going to get people cheering?
True.
And it's literally just the way, because after the Video Game Awards, we were like, oh, Metroid Prime's never coming. And like, it just would have been such a different feeling to be like, oh my God, in February 22nd, Metroid Prime Remastered's coming. Like, it just would have been a complete role reversal of everything. And then it's like, oh, then you shadow drop, how about you shadow drop the Bayonetta game for $40? Like, you know what I mean?
People would. I would love to get that game like that. Exactly.
Yeah, and people are getting all these positive impressions. So I don't know. Like, I guess.
I don't know if it's a.
I don't know.
Well, again, it's not like Metroid has ever sold amazingly. Like I know Dread has done quite well, but nothing compared to like some of the other Nintendo flagships. And I don't know if because Nintendo is such a Japanese heavy company, that they see, Platinum Games, and they see these kind of more Japanese-centric games as like, this is really cool, this is awesome, and they don't really have the finger on the pulse of their American studios and games.
Maybe, but it's just like you got to be pretty dense to not look at this Metroid Prime Remaster and easily say it's one of the best-looking Switch games, and it's a really well-made, competent shooter, and it's like. They're also
it's the remaster of like a 97 rated game.
and they're also putting all this money and effort into the Metroid Prime 4 to the point where they canceled it and like they know these games are high caliber and well loved. Like they're not that dense. Otherwise, they wouldn't be making Metroid Prime 4 and spending 6 years on it. So there's some speculation of why they did it this way, because I really don't. I mean, I have so many questions, you know. And it seems like where a game like Hi-Fi Rush seems like it's marketing wise the perfect decision to shadow drop. This does not, and I actually think that even though I think it'll sell well, this seems like a poor choice, where it could have had 3 months of marketing.
Yeah.
But anyways, Derek, we got one more announcement after this. I know we're running long here. But I guess I just don't. I think some of the speculation is that maybe they have a Metroid Prime 2 coming in a few months and a Metroid Prime 3 remaster, and they're gonna kind of dole them out this way.
Yeah, who knows about Metroid Prime 2 and 3? I think they should, especially if they already had this kind of like underlying game engine, graphic, whatever they're doing to it. I think we should almost have in a couple of weeks when I get a chance to play this too, we should talk about this a little more in depth and kind of what we expect from the Metroid Prime series. Because, 4 also, what does it mean for 4 if Retro was working on this? And I think we can talk about this a little more in depth down the road.
Well, all I'm going to say to cap this off about Metroid Prime, the fact that this is being remade, or has been remade, and the fact that Resident Evil 4, my other favorite game of all time, is being remade, it's like I'm in gaming heaven. And with Prime, after playing Metroid Prime, I think they can easily release Metroid Prime 4 on Switch, and it'll be a jaw-dropping game. Like I went from zero faith to full faith.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, this game, it's on my game of all-time list. Resident Evil 4, game of all-time list. So 2, and then with Bayonetta Origins, that's like 3 of my favorite games of all time. So
yeah. With Etrian Odyssey 2, it's like my favorite game of all time is here finally.
Yeah, we're set.
Anyways, let's move on to the Juggernaut announcement of the whole thing. I thought this wasn't even going to happen at the end. So anyways, I'll just kind of get through the bullet points here, Derek. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, new trailer, still coming on May 12th. No Switch 2 to come with it, like I've been predicting, so that's not happening. They showed new vehicles, sky vehicles, some weapons, tons of new enemies, improved details, graphics, more islands in the sky, a little bit of a darker tone. It's got some amiibo stuff, customized gliders. It's gonna be huge. They still haven't shown. It seemed, because I know you have a negative take on this, but it seemed to me like they still haven't really shown much of the game, and they're still just showing us little things of what is new.
Yeah, like just to be clear, I don't have a negative take on the game. I think this game looks awesome. The trailer, like you just said, it didn't. This could have been the same trailer, the last time you saw Breath of the Wild 2 or Tears of the Kingdom, and I wouldn't have known the difference. Like, we saw those vehicles or whatever, but it really didn't do much to be like, oh yeah, this is a sequel. Like, there's some awesome things here. Check out this new stuff. It was just kind of like, oh, like, it just looks. You could have. Almost, I know there's a few things, you could have almost convinced me that this is Breath of the Wild. Besides for maybe the air stuff, like, I want to see, like, what's new? Tell me the gameplay stuff. Like, what am I doing? What's the objective? Are there dungeons? Are there not? Are there items? Like, what's the like towns look like? What's the underground, the above ground? Like, show me something that's kind of like, whoa, like, they haven't shown this new thing before, and this is awesome. Like, I get it. There's islands in the sky. We've seen those before. Some new vehicles, that's cool, but like, show me something that's like, wow, like, this is another big thing, this is a sequel and it's showing it off now.
It was not a gameplay overview in any sense.
Exactly.
And it still feels like we haven't seen anything and we're just getting shown teaser after teaser. But I also think that maybe they don't quite know. I don't know if this is the type of game where they really can show you a 3-minute teaser and you get that full understanding that you want. Maybe they're saving it. I don't know.
I think we gotta wait till April and they'll do maybe like some previews or something. Like, I need someone to play it for half an hour to tell me about it, or watch I need to see like 10 minutes of gameplay and someone instructionally talk about it.
You know what? I see people I think a lot of people went into this expecting that big overview explainer video. And that's why people are disappointed. I mean, same here. I'm disappointed. I was even hoping at the end they'd say there's a Zelda Direct coming in 2 weeks.
But I didn't necessarily even need that. I just wanted to see something like, it would have been cool to like see a giant boss that you're fighting.
Well, you saw that one big block guy. He was cool.
Yeah, but that's just like the stone guys in the other game. Like I wanted to see, like a real dungeon, or like, oh, like this is so cool. Like this is, I can't believe we just saw that. Where it was very much like, oh, like a lot of the similar
It's
enemies.
such a clip reel that we don't even know if half that did take place in a dungeon. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I don't know.
But I think that the fact is, we haven't seen a shred of gameplay where Link is falling in the sky. And that has been like the number one touted thing in the marketing and like the in the whole sky theme. They've shown us like brief cutscenes of him falling through the clouds, landing on things, but like we haven't actually even seen a lick of that gameplay. So to me, they are holding it very close to the chest, and I think what we're gonna see is when they finally show it to us, it's gonna be that kind of moment where you walk out and you're in the sky and you jump, and all the people are gonna try it for the first time, and it'll be kind of that instantly gratifying revelatory thing,
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I do agree that maybe the trailer could have been stronger, because it did feel like a
Again,
bunch of random elements.
yeah, like again, I'm still like, super excited for this game, and the trailer was still awesome. It didn't, I think of the first Breath of the Wild kind of trailer that everyone talks about still, or even the first Twilight Princess trailer, like those are just so hype, and this one was like, it was okay. I mean, not bad or not good. I'm excited to see more, and I can't wait for this game to come out. Really.
Yeah, and I think you're right that after so many trailers, like the one in September, it does feel a little bit like, okay, we've seen a bunch of these trailers of like random clips of gameplay. Like we're tired of that now. Like we're over that now. Like they're showing us another one like that at this point will be almost as annoying. And yes, you can go through them slowly and glean all the details, but it's like I want to see more than just a bunch of new stuff. I want to get an idea of the structure and what's like, how does this game even play? But I think it's going to be amazing. Like I think the takeaways I had from this trailer was that it looks graphically better than Breath of the Wild.
Agreed. Yeah.
There's more details, full stop. And the other thing is I think seeing the vehicles in the sky, which almost felt a little goofy, I think makes this whole game it's gonna be way bigger than I even thought. Like I think it's gonna be like the GTA 5 of Zelda, where it just has everything, all types of vehicles, all types of traveling, all types of quests and towns and random little
there's
islands.
There's a lot of heavy rumors that there's an entire underground world as well.
Yeah, which makes sense because we've seen lots of cave stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks really cool, and I think like the original pictures and videos we saw, like you couldn't even see the islands in the sky. Remember? And that's why there's all this speculation. Oh, is it going to be a load time? Is it going in the past? But this time, no, we saw everything in the sky, and it looks just really awesome. I'm now convinced there's no load time. It's all one connected giant vertical world.
I think with the vertical, like the sky stuff, yes, but I think there'll still be load times, like loading into, like if there's those shrine kind of places. But yeah, otherwise I think you're right.
I agree, and we saw some stuff on the map, like blue towers and stuff, and maybe those are the kind of temple/shrine areas, and maybe there'll be a little load time, but maybe not, because I mean Hyrule Castle didn't need a load time. So
True, that's true.
Who knows? Well, anyways, Derek, let's wrap it up here. What would you give this Direct out of 10? And what would you say is this the best Nintendo Direct ever?
I would give it at least a 9. I don't know if I'd hit 9.5. Best Nintendo Direct ever. It's definitely up there. I don't have enough memory of Directs like you do to decide that. I just, again, there's so many good things shown. And the big bomb in my mind was Metroid Prime Remastered. But there was no game that was just like face melting. Like the first time we heard about Breath of the Wild 2 was awesome. Or I don't know, Super Mario Odyssey. Like when you see a new game, that's really exciting.
When's the last time any announcement made your face melt? Because I don't remember. I mean, even for me, I could say like Hi-Fi Rush didn't make my face melt. I didn't.
Probably Smash Ultimate. Everyone is here.
Yeah, I mean that's now 5 years ago. So
yeah, so I'm saying it doesn't happen very often. I just again, the amazing announcements this Direct, but there was no new game.
Okay,
There's no new game shown today.
For me to see Metroid Prime get remastered was bigger than everyone is here for Smash Bros. Like it's a bigger deal, and the fact that it looks incredible and it came out the same day, like it's my favorite game.
I guess I guess I also just with so many rumors about Metroid Prime Remaster, it was a little bit like it's already been kind of heavily speculated. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably give. I'm hesitant to give this direct a 10 because I don't know how it.
He's such a Nintendo.
No, but I just don't know how it could actually be better. I mean, sure, they could add a Kid Icarus game. Maybe they're going to announce it later this year. It's been rumored, but like,
I would have liked to seen one new first-party Nintendo game shown that we haven't seen before. That's all. I think that's all I would have needed.
That's not a remake.
Yeah, exactly.
I wonder if they had not shown us Pikmin 4 last year. Because
I think that would have been that exactly. If they didn't even tell us about it and they just showed it here, then it would have probably been a 10 for sure.
I think
to get Pikmin 4 reveal, Metroid Prime remake reveal, Breath of the Wild trailer, and all these other awesome games for sure.
Okay, I'll agree with you there. Yeah, but I almost wish this was the first time we saw Pikmin 4 in a way.
Me too. I think it should have been.
But also, if they had talked about Pikmin Bloom last time and not announced Pikmin 4, I also would have raged. So, I get it. It's the same. The same way they're smart. They announced Metroid Prime 4 the same day they announced Metroid Prime: Samus Returns remake, because people would have freaking raged if 3DS was getting the only Metroid game that looked good in a decade. So they sometimes do these things, but to me, Pikmin 4 really is a brand new game. We saw the gameplay for the first time. Metroid Prime is a remaster. Yeah, that seems to be the flavor of games these days. Like remasters are half the games that come out. But yeah, I agree that a brand new 3D Mario or a brand new, really cool looking game that melted my face.
Yeah, but otherwise great.
Just quick, Derek, because we only have about 5 minutes here. What do you think now we can infer from this direct about not only Switch 2 and that's Switch 2's release, but the second half of the calendar year for Nintendo's release?
Yeah, I saw other people speculating. I thought about this too. Is now that we know kind of what their lineup is till August with some pretty decently awesome games, what do they have for September through December? Like, do they have anything, or is it kind of that's when they put another Pokemon out and kind of get their last little hurrah of Switch to bring out their, March or April Switch 2. Like, who knows?
I think that we'll get the Pokemon DLC for sure. We'll get the Splatoon and the Mario Kart DLC.
And Fire Emblem DLC, yeah.
But I think that they could... I think 2D Mario, a brand new one. I think they're going to...
I can see that as well.
They're not going to want the Mario movie to come and go without a big new Mario game. Mm-hmm. And something tells me... 3D Mario is waiting.
I could almost see it as like it's part of the trailer or like the previews before the opening night or something, or I don't know, like just saying, hey, like there's a new Mario game coming this holiday.
Yeah, and I actually think that this holiday, I know I don't like to feed into the rumors, but when it comes to quote unquote lighter release calendars, I think it might be in a way, even though 2D Mario is a massive juggernaut, like huge, especially a brand new one. But I think it could be like 2D Mario on its own with third parties, maybe a price drop, some players' choice
and all
selects,
the
DLCs, and I think they can just rest on that. I maybe they'll have another Metroid Prime 2 or Twilight Princess, like another remaster or something, but I think they really could rest on their calendar as they have now, and then they could bring out 2D Mario.
Or a Pokemon remake. They can do another one of those.
Yeah, I mean, Pokemon companies, because they are outsourcing those now. Mm-hmm. What do you think about Switch 2? Like, when does it get announced and when does it come out?
Kind of like I said, I think there's a good chance that it does come out April or March, probably more like April or May of next year, and do the hype cycle starting in January. I could also see it being the end of 2024, and they start advertising it in May because they have a couple more games they want to push out early next year. It could go either way. I think 2024 is definitely the year we will see the Switch.
I mean, hell, it could even be this holiday, right? They could announce it in the summer, in June.
Yeah.
I doubt it.
That's a good point.
Because otherwise, why not delay Zelda for it? I think we're going to end up with a kind of like an October, November announcement, and then it'll come next March.
No, you never do that. You don't announce a new system before the holidays. It makes no sense.
I know, but this year when it wasn't announced by January, everyone's like, it's not happening. And if they are going to release it in March in the fiscal year, it'd be the only time to do it. And by that point, if they're announcing it alongside Switch price drops, or they're hinting at it, or they say next year the future of Switch, today Switch price drop, I don't think it'll affect their holiday sales that bad.
Yeah. Either way, I don't think they'll do that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting. Like I agree. Like it seems like it doesn't make any sense to announce before Christmas if it's coming after Christmas. You know. But there seem to be a lot of people on the side of the fence that think there's no way it can release in the first quarter or even the first half of next year without being announced this year. Do you know
I disagree with them. Yeah.
True. Okay. So you're picturing an early next year announcement and then like a spring release.
I'm gonna bet April, May, or June, and gets shown off mid to late January to start.
Okay, I'm gonna agree with you there. I actually think that we might actually go this entire year without a peep about Switch Pro. Last question for you: when is Metroid Prime 4 coming out?
I thought we were gonna do a Metroid Prime.
Just a quick question now that we've seen.
I'm gonna say it'll be shown off when they show off the Switch 2. It won't be a Switch 2 launch game though. It'll be come out a few months after.
Oh, interesting. And you think it'll be Switch 2 only?
Yeah, I could see it being like September Switch 2 only.
I can see it coming out this year. Metroid Prime 4, okay. Not for Switch 2 at all. Just for Switch. Okay. All of the speculation is wrong. Why not, right? It's been 4.5 years. They've got this other one coming out. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe.
But I can definitely see it coming out before Switch Pro now. Or before Metroid Prime Remastered, I couldn't. All right, Derek. So what have you been playing? I'm just kidding. We have gone way over time here. But any last thoughts or notes, Derek, of how you're feeling about things? Feeling about Nintendo?
I honestly, Nintendo. I know we're talking about Nintendo. I feel overwhelmed with how many awesome games are coming in the next 6 months. For Nintendo, for Sony, for Game Pass. I'm excited for Pikmin 4 now. Octopath Traveler. Yeah, I'm just excited. Like, there's just so many games I don't know how to pace it.
Yes, me neither. It's by far Nintendo's probably best 6th year of a console ever.
Totally agree. Totally.
Yeah, and I mean, with all the games announced at this Direct, I think Switch is now in legendary status. Best Nintendo system easily. But yeah. Okay, Derek. Well, you get playing Metroid, and we'll talk next time we talk. We'll be talking about Metroid.
Sounds good.
All right, Derek. Well, thanks for the chat, and everyone at home listening.
Thanks for the chat.
Let us know what you thought of the Direct and what your favorite games were.
Yeah, remember to like and subscribe, comment.
All the good stuff.
Yeah. This is Derek. I'll see you later.
Peter signing out.